Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Tessman from StampYourArtOut.com. I'm part of a team of Stampin' Up! Demonstrators called the Paper Pumpkin Exclusives Video Crew, or PPX Crew for short. We've teamed up so we can give our subscribers and team members exclusive project ideas, creations that we've made with the contents of the Paper Pumpkin kits. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to make this envelope closure card with the contents of the August 2022 Sweet Sunflowers kit. Here are the additional supplies that I'm using to create my card for you today. Please note these bonus tutorial videos are for our subscribers and team members only, so please do not share this video link with others. Thank you so much for your cooperation and your understanding. I'm excited to create this, so let's begin. Now you'll see that this is the envelope closure part. It's like a flap on an envelope, and it is adhered to the back side of the card and then secured in place with a quarter sheet of cardstock. And you can use any color from your stash that you want. I just chose basic white, so I'm going to go ahead and trim a piece. Now I purposely trimmed down a piece that was slightly smaller than a quarter sheet because I didn't want it to extend out. So we're going to cut this sheet to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So 4 1/8 in this direction, 5 3/8 in this direction. And that way we will have it just cover without extending over any of the edges. Then you can see here that I have the outside of the card that you would normally use as the inside of my card. And I've folded it this direction. This is then where the white will cover the flap, the envelope part of the card. It's not really an envelope, it looks like one. And what I did is I just kind of angled this piece here. You can see how I did that. And I made sure that I had this corner up in here, and then it didn't extend all the way to the corners, it just went almost to the corners, maybe 1/8 of an inch. Let's just peek at this so you can see here. So it's not all the way to those corners there. And then, after I did that, I took and I folded it back. Now, I've already got a piece that I cut from my other one. So here is the piece that was left over from the other one. And you can see here that it is pretty much half of that gold sheet. So I'm not going to waste one of my sheets. I'm just going to use this other half. So I'm going to lay this on here again. And I'm going to carefully line it up. Now you don't have to worry about these designs either. It's not a big deal. And then I'm just going to fold this back onto itself like that and press it in place. Now if it helps, you can take like a clear block or the edge of your stamp pad or something to just kind of give it that even pressure all the way across. And then I also took my scissors, and I'm using a long bladed scissors because I'm going to need that for trimming this up. So I just kept this out here. So it's a long bladed scissors to cut along here because you don't want to use your trimmer to cut it off. I'm just going to use that same scissors to just kind of snip at an angle here. So we don't need that piece. It was just going to extend beyond anyways. So at this point now, I can tape down this section to here, and then I can tape this on top of here. And when I turn it over to the front, pretend it's all taped here, you can see I've got my little closure part. It opens up, and there's the inside of the card. So let's go ahead and tape that down. Now I use the bone folder to really crease that piece, and I'm bringing this white edge all the way to this edge here so that it hangs on to that more fragile flap because it's got holes in it, so it's a little more fragile. I've also put adhesive really close to all the edges of this back side. So there we go. Now the inside of the card is pretty simple. We'll decorate that at the end. The outside of the card, you can see here, we're going to tuck this in like that. And if we want to be able to tuck that in, then when we put our dimensionals around this section to lift our sunflower up and create a little pocket for this flap, we want to make sure that the dimensionals are not connecting to the actual flap area. Now I'm not ready to add that yet. I just wanted to kind of demonstrate that. So this area is off limits. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our little pieces that are going to decorate the front here. We're going to stamp a sunflower, so let's grab that piece. I'm going to grab also some grid paper. I'm using the small grid paper this time. And then we need our crushed curry ink. I'm using my larger ink pad, but you can use the one from the kit. Now, there is no right or wrong way to add this because this image is actually larger than your cutout image from the kit, but it does have kind of a same little pattern here with the way the petals go. So that's the way I've been doing mine, is just lining up that same pattern. I've been enjoying also taking the blending brush, the blending pen, sorry, blender pen. We have so many tools with the word blend in it. The blender pen, which is good with the water-based colors, and I've been just taking and adding that pen to my areas to kind of fill in. So what it does is it draws the ink from the stamped ink here, and it pulls it into those areas to color it. Let's do the same thing with our soft suede. Now on this sample, I stamped off first on my scrap paper and then stamped here, and that's why I have the lighter brown there. But on this one, I wanted to just show you the difference between the two. And again, I'm coloring in, I'm drawing color from the brown ink. And now you can see the difference if you want something a little more subtle and soft, or if you want something bold. The next color that I'm going to bring in is Melon Mambo. And for this next step, I'm going to do a little bit of blending brush to add the Melon Mambo to certain areas of the card front. So you can see here I've got just a touch of pink coming up and through here. So I'm going to kind of make it go up and through this area. We'll grab some color onto our brush, take a little bit off because that's really, really bright. We'll start where the sunflower would be positioned, and then we can blend out from there, being careful to not have too much color if we don't want it, or to color more if we want it. And obviously I've got a lot of color on this one. That's okay. My next step is to take the sunflower and position it where it's going to go. Probably going to have it right about there, which means I want to have my, and here, I stuck 2 stamps on one block. That's one way when you're lazy, if you don't want to go get a block. But I'm going to go ahead and add a little sprig with my soft succulent color in that spot. I'm going to stamp off because I don't want the color to be too intense. I'm going to pull this away and add that in right about there. Then I'm going to grab this piece from the kit, and here we'll just set that there for a second. And we're going to separate that into a couple pieces here. Okay, this piece is going to go up and through here. And then we're going to have another sprig right in through here. So I'm going to leave that in that spot, ink this up, stamp it off, stamp it right in that spot. Now we've got all our inking done except for our sentiment piece that's going to be on the inside, which I've stamped with the soft succulent ink. And this is what I was telling you. I got lazy when I made my sample, and I just mounted it onto this block here. I actually mounted it kind of at a different angle so that it's easier for me to see it through that side. I also stamped on the white side, so if it helps, pull your stamp or your your sentiment strip away from a white background, it's going to be easier to hover over the top, center it, and stamp it down. So yeah, you can always do 2 stamps on 1 block. We're now at the point where we can add the dimensionals, and I am using the regular size dimensionals that you can purchase from the online store. Some past Paper Pumpkin kits also include these dimensionals, this size, but you can use the smaller ones from the kit too. So I'm just kind of making a cluster of dimensionals right there, which will support the sunflower. About 3 of them will do great right in that spot. Then I knew I was going to put this piece in here. Now, if you want to, you can kind of shim it in there. If you need to, you can trim off the stem. You know, if it's bugging you, just trim it right off or pull it right off. And I also used my bone folder to give the end of this leaf a little bit of a curl. And then on the other end of the leaf is where I put the multi-purpose liquid glue. And I just have it my glue inside a little applicator bottle. So we're just going to stick that right about there. And you can test your sunflower to make sure it looks like it's going to look okay. And then the other one I have coming out from the bottom. So tuck this back inside, kind of in that spot. So you can see the dimensionals are in the way again. So I'm just going to tear off those little stem pieces, and it looks like it's coming at that angle, which is kind of the opposite angle as my other leaf. And again, I'm going to curl the end of my leaf, add a bit of glue to the base. I'm following the line of the leaves. And then I'm also checking to make sure it's not in the way of my flap. Okay, now that I have all of that in place, I can go ahead and peel off these dimensionals, kind of shimmy where I want my sunflower to sit. And it's got to cover up that flap a bit, so you want to make sure that you're doing that. Let's go ahead and bring in some embellishments. These embellishments are called the 2021 through 23 Opal Rounds. Very, very pretty colors. And so I've got a few left over from another sheet. We're going to add a couple pink ones down here. We're going to add a yellowish one, which I have over on this sheet here, up in here. Oh, and you know what? I think I'm going to add a small one there because we don't have quite the space that we had on the other one. And then we also have a space for a bee. So let's go ahead and add a bee. And I'm going to use one of the dimensionals from the kit because they are nice and tiny. Although you can, if you run out of these, you can always cut down other dimensionals so that they fit the right size. Then I've also got a tiny little one here, but because I used a tiny one here, I'm going to use a larger one on this one. I've also placed it so it's opposite of where the dimensionals are underneath my sunflower, so that when I press my card into the envelope, you know, position it in there and press everything in place, I might be able to get away with only the regular 1 ounce postage, as long as I have something covering this like a piece of cardstock to kind of protect those little images or those little embellishments there. But it creates less of a layer if you don't have everything, all the thick things piled onto each other. Let's open up the card and let's add this piece. Now this piece is also up on dimensionals, but you'll notice that it's positioned in a different spot than our sunflower dimensionals. It's towards the top of the card. So when I place this on here, you can see here's the sunflower dimensionals, here's the bee, and here is this sentiment. They're not in the same spots. The bee's kind of close, but it's not in the same spot. Let's add a couple pink little doodads here. What are these called again? In color opal rounds. There we go. And there is our finished card. so pretty. I think I'm going to close this one up here so you can see a card that's open and a card that's closed at the same time. Remember to check out the other videos from our PPX crew, and I hope that you enjoy all the creativity that we have to share. Next month's kit is titled Spooky Treats. Be sure that you're subscribed by September 10th so you don't miss out on this kit containing supplies to make 18 adorable treat boxes, 6 each of 3 unique designs with a special peek-through box top on one of the box designs. You also won't want to miss out on the next set of exclusives from our PPX crew. In the meantime, have fun creating with your Sweet Sunflowers kit, and thanks so much for joining me today. Bye-bye.